Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Chalk. I'm Ken Berthelot. Talkin' Chalk is the show where faith, sports, and leadership all come together. And today we have such a shining example of a man who exemplifies all three. John Curtis High School coach J.T. Curtis is only the second man ever to win 500 games in organized football at any level. What a special feat. In just a moment, we'll talk to the coach, some of his players and family members, and find out what exactly makes J.T. Curtis the man of a very special character. All of that right after this on Talkin' Chalk on WHNO TV 20 Sports. Welcome back to Talkin' Chalk. We sat down with Coach J.T. Curtis at a very special time, right after he won his 500th football game. Let's talk to the coach and see exactly what this accomplishment means to him. J.T. Curtis, 500 wins. It's only been done once before in America at all levels. Congratulations. Has that accomplishment set in now that you've had some time, some days to think about it?
You know, it really hadn't in terms of the magnitude of it. Certainly the people around me have emphasized to me and to the rest of the coaches the importance of a milestone like that. And we certainly recognize it's a milestone, but I think with time and as the years go by, you'll really start to appreciate it more and more. But right now we're so focused on our team and getting ready for the playoffs and finishing up our season that I don't know if the real impact has been there. But certainly the night we played the game was one of the more enjoyable experiences that I've had. Seeing all those kids come back, and have an opportunity to visit, and I'm calling them kids. They're all men now. I told them, I said, you guys lost a little hair and gained a little weight, you know. And of course they paid me back that same compliment. But we had a great time, and it was a wonderful event for our school across the board. With all the things that they had planned. And that was difficult too, Ken. You know, we're getting ready to play a game and they're talking about when we win. And of course, that's not the approach that we take to games. We want to go out and be prepared no matter who we're playing to do the best we can. But it worked out well because we were able to win the game and really enjoy all the festivities at the same time.
At the moment of victory, what went through your mind?
Well, to be honest with you, they dumped Gatorade on me, which I had no idea was coming, and I went, this is cold and sticky. But, you know, I know Coach McKissick, who, of course, is at 592 wins, and he's a little older than I am, and had a chance to visit with him, and I know how important that is to him. So it was enjoyable to know that we're in that category, that there's only two of us that have ever done it, and it was kind of an exhilarating moment at that point to realize this is a milestone. We're past it now. We're going to hopefully move forward and see what happens in the future.
Coach McKissick had 592 wins, and I was thinking in preparing for this interview how long it takes to get to 500. Even if you're winning 13 to 15 a year, you're looking at 30 plus years.
Right.
All of the time it took to get here. Reflect on that.
You know, I guess it's because I enjoy what I do so much. If you had said, how many years have you been working? I could have told you 10 as well as I could have told you 40. Because I enjoy what I do. Ken, we come to work every day. It's a new challenge. It's working with young people. It's exciting to see them progress and to watch them mature. And then you go through the disappointments. You know, you get disappointed sometimes because they don't always do like you want them to do, and they don't always make the best decisions in the world. But really, that's what we're here for. We're here to help young people mold and direct their lives and become better people. And as you know, I think our motto is building champions for life. And that's what we really try to do. And we're not always as successful as we want to be at this immediate moment. But one thing we have learned is that if you plant the seeds early enough and you water the seeds on a regular basis, that eventually there's going to be a harvest. Eventually those people will be the kind of young men and the kind of young women that you would like them to be, contributors to their community, family people that are good to their family and that are going to be contributors to society, and that's what makes this worthwhile. So Really, it doesn't seem like 40 plus years of doing this, to be really honest with you. Every day has been a new adventure.
When we come back, we'll talk further with the coach and hear from some of his players right after this on Talkin' Chalk on WHNO TV 20 Sports. Welcome back to Talkin' Chalk. On J.T. Curtis's very special night of his 500th win, there were family members, friends, former players all coming back for the celebration. There was also one very big name there, former Saints Hall of Fame quarterback Archie Manning, who presented him with a special award. Ken Trahan caught up with Archie after the event.
Archie, 500 wins by any stretch of the imagination at any level is a remarkable accomplishment.
It really is, Kenny. I'm not sure I can really comprehend it, but you go back and you know, I've been in New Orleans 40 years, so I've watched this, and you know, even through the years, I remember even when I was playing, we had a lot of coaches, you know, revolved around here and moved to town. A lot of times their kids played here at John Curtis, so got to know JT. Then I've got to know his kids, his family, and just the quality person he is. But to win 500 football games, you know, and I come out and watch them play every year, at least one game. And they're coached. I've always said the special teams at John Curtis are better than the special teams in Division I football. I mean, so he's a great football coach, and it's a great accomplishment. And they've done it the right way, and so real thrill for me to just be here tonight on this special occasion.
Having had three sons play at the high school level, they never would have played in this system. They never would have tolerated the veer, but you have so much respect for what this man is, what he stands for, as much as what he does with football.
Well, I do. I just love the way JT's good people. I love the way he goes about his business. And you know, that was something my dad always told me. It's what I always tried to preach to my kids. Take care of your business, and that's what JT and his family's done. That's what he harps to his kids. And yeah, you know what? My kids would have played for it. They would have played in this system because that's the kind of guy he is. He'd make them believe and make it work. So it's he you know, he's a real coach, and I can't give anyone like him any greater compliment that he's a coach.
If only you could get him out of Newman's League, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just glad when my kids play, they didn't have to play against him. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Ken. Not only was Archie there, but a number of former players were there to help JT celebrate this special evening, including Parade All-American Joe McKnight, who was on an open week with the New York Jets and flew down from New York to New Orleans to be present for this ceremony. Lenny Van Gilder caught up with Joe McKnight.
Joe McKnight getting back to New Orleans on a bye week, and it happens to be the week that JT Curtis wins his 500th game. It's got to be a special occasion for you.
Very special, you know, just to get back to show Coach JT his appreciation that he had for me and that I have for him.
What did you take from Coach Curtis that you still use today in the NFL?
You know, just whatever comes your way, you just got to fight through it and just keep fighting. You know, that's the main thing he taught me when I was coming to school and when I stayed in his house.
As you know, a lot of people will say maybe you were the greatest player to come out of this program, but obviously there were a lot of great ones. Who were the guys that you look up to when you were in school?
Jonathan Wells, Chris Howard, and Reggie Dupart. Even though he was so many years ahead of me, you know, he still had tape on him. And Chris Howard, you know, there was a lot of great running backs he had, and I just looked up to them when I was in lower school. I was in third grade when Jonathan Wells was here, so, you know, it's a memorable moment just to be out here with them again.
I know you played a big part on special teams here, and obviously you're making a big impact on special teams with the Jets. So a great emphasis on special teams here at Curtis over the years. How much did you learn about the return game when you were here?
Oh, man, that's what I started off doing here, was doing special teams, running down on kickoff team, doing kickoff return, punt return, and everything just carried over. You know, Coach JT's, and whatever opportunity come your way, take advantage of it.
At the moment of your 500th win, so many players had come back. Joe McKnight was there. And I'm just going to use Joe as a representative of all the players you've had influence on in your life. Any one stands out more than the other because they were a special case? And did you look at the success of so many people whose lives you've touched? It's got to be heartwarming for
It
you.
was. To be honest with you, it was the most enjoyable of the whole process. Just to see those guys. Steve Clark came back from Houston, and where he's living, and Mike Stonebreaker came in, Joe came in, Jonathan Wells got to come in, and those guys are all the high-profile. Reggie Dupart came in. You know, Reggie's doing great. His daughter's in the movie business, but really, the faces that nobody would know, the names that people wouldn't recognize, those success stories were really heartwarming. I had a young man, Cliff Freelo, who was an offensive guard for us, who's now got his PhD, and he teaches biomechanical engineering for LSU at Shreveport. And I said, Cliff, what do you do? I mean, what does a biomechanical engineer do? And he said, oh, Coach, he said, we make artificial hearts. We make artificial limbs. Unbelievable. That's the emotion for me. And it's what makes it worthwhile for me. Because those people learned at this school, under our tutelage, what it meant to sacrifice. And what it meant to help his fellow man. So that was as pleasurable for me as anything. And I hate to get too emotional about that, but when I look in those faces and I see them being the kind of men that Mr. Curtis envisioned them to be, I mean, you can't buy that. It's not for sale.
When we come back, a last look at this special moment for the J.T. Curtis family. Right after this on Talkin' Chalk on WHNO TV 20 Sports. Welcome back to Talkin' Chalk. As special a moment as this was for the coach, it was just as special for the family. Let's hear from who might just be the next heir apparent to run John Curtis football, even though it may be a long time from now. Johnny Curtis, JT's 500th win. Put that in perspective as to what it meant to you and the family.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I was pretty much born into this scenario and into this situation, and I was born in 1972, so on the front end, and I was kind of, I guess you would say, brought up through this whole time. And 500, looking at it now as an adult, as a 39-year-old coach who's been in this now 16 years, and looking back at all those different years, and of course there was a little time there when I was gone for college, but obviously never really too far away from it. But looking back, and it's just absolutely remarkable. I mean, it's the five, you can't really put it in a perspective. And what I see is, when's it end? You know, I mean, is there going to be an end to it? I hope personally, you know, for my selfishness' sake and my kids' sake, that it doesn't end anytime soon.
Well, we asked him if he could do the Joe Paterno thing and maybe take it all the way to 600.
Right. Well, he says, you know, I don't want to be 85. If it takes me to be 85, still doing this, you know, and so I just don't see that. If his health is right and things are moving in the right direction, I don't see him stopping. And I don't want him to stop. You know, selfish for a lot of selfish reasons, and I hope he doesn't stop. I've said this in many different occasions in the last probably 7, 8, 10 years. People ask me, you know, when are you going to take over? And my response is I hope I don't. I think he means that much to our program. He means that much to our team. He means that much as our leader. He means that much to this school. And, you know, I hope to see him continue in his health and continue to move forward. And really 600 wins is a bonus to all the things that he really does in his life.
Do you realize that there may come a time when the reins are handed to you? I remember the pride your grandfather had when he gave the reins to your dad. Now, you may face a moment when the reins are handed to you. If that happens, are you thinking about how do you follow a legend?
There's no doubt.
How do you follow a legend?
You really don't. And what you do is you take your experiences and all those things you draw upon. It's similar to the scenario when we lost my grandfather in 2005. And you know, when he took his last breath, I was fortunate enough to be the one right there by him. And my dad walked in the door and he looked at me, he said, son, we have some big shoes to fill. And what the interesting thing is day by day we've been able to not necessarily fill those shoes, but use the experiences that in the I guess we say that the teaching lessons that he has taught us throughout this time to be able to move our school forward.
You know, when you won your 500th game, I was thinking of when your dad used to walk the sidelines and how proud he was of you. What influence did he have in your life, and what influence did he have making you the coach you are today?
Well, you know, the thing that I've grown to admire about my dad so much was the compassion that he had for people. And you know, after he passed away, we had so many stories and so many people came to the funeral or wrote letters thanking my mother and thanking him for the time that he lent support, either financial support or emotional support, or when he just came to the house and ministered to them when their time of need. And he spent 30 plus years of his ministry in the inner city New Orleans working with homeless people, battered women, recovering drug addicts. He just had a compassion in his heart for those people and had a compassion for homeless people. And it was a side of him that the general public never knew, but it was a side of him that had a tremendous influence on all of our lives, my brothers and my sisters, because we saw what it meant to give back and to be truly a Christian in terms of serving your fellow man, not what he could get out of it, but what he could give. And the amazing thing that we learned from him is that by doing that, he in fact received much more back than he did give. And so that was a tremendous influence in my life. From a coaching perspective, it really is along the same lines. And that is this, that you want to always put the interest of your players first. That if you take care of them and you make sure that their needs are being met and that you have compassion in your heart for them, that you've got a chance to be not only successful as a football player, but as a human being. And I think the drive and the commitment that he had, because when we started this school, or I should say when he and my mother started this school in 1962, people thought they were crazy. You know, how can you do that? Nobody's ever heard of that. No such thing. What do you do? It didn't ever bother him, Ken. He knew this is the direction God was bringing him, and it didn't make any difference what anybody else said. He was going to get it done. And through the trials and the tribulations of those early years, he continued to persevere. And I really think that that has been a tremendous influence in our lives, because one of the things that we try to do is be very consistent in our performance, very consistent in our teaching, very consistent in our practice schedule. We don't change very much whether we're playing the very best team in the state or playing the very worst team in the state. We're going to prepare the same way for everybody. The other thing is to continually try to improve yourself. He was always trying to make things a little bit better, make the building a little bit better, make the classroom a little bit nicer, bring in a little better piece of equipment, whatever it might have been. And I think that was another tremendous influence. We as a coaching staff continually critique ourselves to try to say, what can we do to make ourselves a little better today? And at the end of the year, we'll sit down and talk about what we can change to make ourselves a little bit better for next year. And so I think those two influences were tremendous in my life and really in the lives of all those that were around him.
I remember the pride he had when he turned this whole program over to you. Have you given any thought, now that you've reached 500 wins, of when you might turn this program over to a younger Curtis?
A younger Curtis, yeah. You know, we have such a good time together. I really don't know how else to describe it. I don't know if there are words that could really describe the relationship that we all have together. You know, I've had a number of people tell me through the years, I can't believe your family works together. How do y'all get along? Well, you know, it wasn't much of an option. I mean, Dad said, we gonna get along, so you might as well make that part of who you're gonna be. And so we've all learned to get along and enjoy each other, enjoy our fellowship and enjoy our relationships. My son's married wives that have all been a part of us, and my daughter married her husband that is a part of what we do, and we really enjoy each other. So the workload for me is not like it was 20 years ago, to be honest with you. I mean, when you got guys like Jeff and Johnny and Tommy and Lance Rickner and Matt Curtis and Steve Curtis and Jerry Godfrey, all those guys who played here or know the system, they know what we want to do and they know what we believe in, and so it makes my job a little bit easier. They get on me when I get antsy. We got it. We got it. We got it. Relax. We got it. And I hear that more now than I've heard it in the past. But right now, I enjoy what I do. I really do. I look forward to going to practice. You know, I write out our practice schedules by hand every day, and we never go to the field without a practice schedule, and it's pretty detailed, and I still enjoy doing that. I still enjoy watching young men get better, watch them progress and improve day to day.
Congratulations again, Coach J.T. Curtis, on a great accomplishment, your 500th win, only the second person in the history of football to accomplish that feat. But also congratulations, too, on how much you have given back and how much you have helped young men be successful both on and off the field. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of Talkin' Chalk. Thanks for being with us. I'm Tim Berthelot. See you next week on WHNO TV 20 Sports.